The hardest thing in life is to turn money into more money. How do you turn £1 into £10? And this is what everyone's trying to figure out. That's the game of being an entrepreneur. Some of us make it, some of us don't make it, but that's the game right there. The average person needs to understand money. I believe every single person, regardless of your circumstances, can turn their life around in a very short space of time just by doing some work, just by asking the right questions. Ask somebody the right questions. Figure out what they did. People never analyze why you win. You only analyze when you lose. So the biggest gift you can ever get is losing, because it forces you. It forces you to go into the pit. It forces you to go into your dark room, and it forces you to introspect. If you go to someone that has that information, try your best. You've got 30 seconds with them. Try your best to get that one key that's just going to unlock every single thing for you and change your life and change your perspective.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Need to Succeed podcast. And like we always say, this podcast is really where we bring on phenomenal entrepreneurs and just really discuss their journeys, right? Because oftentimes what happens is two people could go through the exact same situation, and one person decides because of this situation, they're going to go on and become wildly successful. And another person in the exact same situation decides because of that situation, they can no longer achieve the things that they set out to achieve. Now, what is the difference between those two people? That's exactly what we look to uncover on the Need to Succeed podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, he's back. Back like it never left, because the last conversation just felt like there was a little bit missing. I know this gentleman has a whole lot more to give, and we have arranged for him to come back. He is one of the biggest names in the property industry in the UK. He's doing incredible things for the community. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming back Mr. TJ Atkinson.
Wow. Introduction and a half.
I had to level it up from the last time. Yeah?
Mate, you just gassed me up totally. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Nah, you're welcome, bro. You're welcome. And it's like, after the last time, I was like, you know what, bro, we've got to get you back in because, generally this podcast is more about the, the story, the journey, but watching your content online, I just know there's so much that in terms of actually talking about practical tips, that people could use, your views. Like you're a very, very opinionated person. You've got views that can really help people. So it's like, well, actually, why don't we explore that and actually give some tangible information that could actually help people, right?
Cool. Happy to go.
Brilliant stuff. So with that being said, let's start like this. Traditionally, we'll start with what does success mean to you, but we've been down that route with you already.
Yeah, we've done it already.
Okay, cool. So let's get into it, right? Let's get into it. So TJ, if you were starting out today, right, what would you do?
Oh, that's a good question. I would ask more questions. I would ask more questions. I think people fail because they think they know it all. And I think we had a previous conversation recently that you only know what you know. And that's the biggest issue. If all you know is what you know, how do you grow past it? So if I was starting from scratch today, I would ask better questions. I would go to somebody that I believe has the answers, and I would formulate better questions. Again, the type of questions you ask will determine the sorts of answers that you get. I get people approaching me all the time. TJ, how do I invest in property? It's a terrible question. Go and do some work and find out what type of investment. What's your entry level? Where are you mentally? Where are you financially? Don't expect me to do the work. My job is to give you my knowledge. Other people that you respect, their job is to give you their knowledge based on the quality questions that you ask. And many people get that wrong. If I had to start again, I would sit down, formulate good quality questions, and I would make sure I ask them properly.
Wow, that is so important. And the type of questions you ask really does determine the answers that you get. You just said it perfectly there. If you're asking me, how do I invest in property? It's like, bro, do you know how many different strategies you've even done?
Thank you.
Right? So if you start asking, like, where do I start? I haven't got that much time. You want me to leverage, you want to leverage my time right now, but yet you're not asking a question that can, mean I don't have to actually devote too much of my time, which means I can actually give you a really good quality answer.
On.
Now you've wasted your time because I can't really answer that question.
I can't answer it.
Yeah.
And It's exactly the same across the board. Forget property. It's literally, if you want someone's help, you genuinely believe they can help you, which means you also understand that they're relatively successful, which means they probably are busy. So if you want them to dedicate or give you the answer, because it's often one thing. It's just one thing that unlocks that potential or unlocks that level of success. What you don't know will always be what you don't know. Okay. So if you go to someone that has that information, try your best. You've got 30 seconds with them. Try your best to get that one key that's just going to unlock every single thing for you and change your life and change your perspective. It's often perspective. We had a previous conversation before. Everyone wants to be successful. And everyone thinks being successful is, what strategy? What can I invest in? What business can I do? What cryptocurrency should I invest in? But no matter what it is, before you make any investment in life, mindset. A lot of people talk about mindset and a lot of people discard it. Oh yeah, why do we need to speak about the mindset? I've got a good mindset. No, you don't. The only time you have a good mindset is once you've done the work, which means you've found out what makes you the way you are, what drives you, what's your belief about money, what's your parents' belief about money. I talk about this all the time. You will never be successful financially until you find out what your grandparents or what your parents thought about money, because what they thought about money determined how they behaved and then what they taught you. Until you get to the bottom, until you figure out specifically why mum used to say, money doesn't grow on trees. Why mum used to say, we can't have this. Why mum or dad used to say, this isn't possible. Until you figure out why that was the case and you undo that piece of information and then you replace that piece of information, it's the only way you'll be successful. This is the reason the evidence is there. People that win the lotto, people that get handed money, this is the reason why 75% of them are bankrupt. Many people think it's money. How do I become successful? How do I become a millionaire? How do I make money? It's not the money. It's never been the money.
Blueprint.
It's the spot on. It's the blueprint. It's the data. It's the belief. Before you can create money, you've got to work on what's going on in your mind, because what you say to yourself on a daily basis, and I speak about this specific book every single time. They need to pay me royalties. I probably mentioned it on the last podcast that we did. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by a man called Shard Helmstetter. We're forever having a dialogue, forever having a conversation in our minds. And that dialogue governs what we believe, then what action we take, therefore what results we get. If your mind is saying, I can't do this. Why is your mind saying, I can't do this? It's because of the information that's been inputted or the information that's been inserted into you. We can never be successful. You'll never be rich. You never make money. Why do you believe that? Catch that. Catch it. Catch that information. Deal with it. Replace that memory or replace that mindset, and everything changes for you.
Wow. And that's so powerful, because the truth is, that person who's asking about mindset, I've got enough about mindset already. That's the very person that actually needs, to have a shift in mindset, because anyone who understands the power of mindset knows it's a constant battle.
Yes.
You are constantly going through it every single day. When I wake up and I know I've got to do 100 push-ups and then hit the gym, I don't want to do it.
No one wants to do it.
I don't want to do it.
But the difference is consistency.
Yes.
It's the people that say, I don't want to do it, but I will do it.
Exactly.
That's the difference. So people say, how can someone be successful? And I get this all the time on social media, mainly on TikTok. There's a bunch of spoiled people on social media that feel super entitled, and they believe that every single person that's successful is because they were given it. And it's an easy excuse because it means you don't have to do the work. When in reality, the blueprint is there. 99% of people that are successful, it's simply because they worked on this. They worked on their mind. They worked on their belief system. Belief carries you every single where. Belief is what's going to cause you to take action. Belief is what's going to cause you to carry on. Belief is what builds diligence. And like you say, every single morning you wake up, you're tired. You've had a bad night's sleep, but you still have to do 100 push-ups. That's the difference. That's where there's a difference between people who will be successful and the people who will blame society. Who are you going to blame for the inability to do 100 push-ups? Are we going to blame the government? You see my point? Excuses, excuses, excuses. But until you read the books, you do the work, you change your mindset, your mind will govern what action you take. Your mind will govern how much money you make. Oh, that sounded like a rapper there. That was a rapper. I used to be a rapper back in the day. So give a shout out to the rest of my crew members. When I was younger, I used to be part of a crew called No Mercy Crew. My MC name was MC Disaster. Even MC Disaster, but yeah, it's embarrassing. But the truth is, everything comes down to what you believe about yourself. And beliefs are created. Beliefs are absolutely creative, but they've got to be worked on. And I don't see many people doing that. But I also understand this from a different point of view. Many people believe they're too busy because generally we are. You're working because you've got bills to pay, you've got responsibility. But again, in most cases, and this is going to sound so condescending, and that's not my intention, I believe every single person, regardless of your circumstances, can turn their life around in a very short space of time just by doing some work, just by asking the right questions, leading back to what you just asked me. Ask somebody the right questions. Figure out what they did. Because my mum used to say, coming from a Nigerian household, when someone would get an A in maths and I would get a C, she'd say, do they have two heads? Like, have they got any special ability? No, it's because they recognized where their defects were. They worked on it. They changed this thing here and started to see results. That's it.
Brilliant. I think Alex Amosi actually says, like, if you just do an unreasonable amount of work,
yes,
it would be unreasonable that you won't achieve what you set out to achieve.
Well, we spoke about this earlier on today. I believe in all my soul. Maybe one day everyone will start quoting me. Do 3 to 5 years of the same thing consistently. You will guarantee to see results. Most people are too lazy. Most people are too lazy to do the same thing for 3 years. I understand it because I was there at one point. If you're not seeing results, your brain says, hey, we ain't doing this anymore. Your friends are laughing at you. You're missing out on parties. You're making sacrifices. It doesn't feel good. So you give up. But the truth is, if we look at all the tech companies, if we look at any company that's done $1 billion or done 10 billion or even £1 million, it's consistency. Year one.
Consistent failure.
Whoa. Oh, I wish I was in church there. Consistent failure. I said this, I think, last time. When was the last time that a football team won a match and then went into the cloakroom or the changing room and did an analysis on why they won? People never analyze why you win. You only analyze when you lose. So the biggest gift you can ever get is losing because it forces you. It forces you to go into the pit. It forces you to go into your dark room and it forces you to introspect. Every time I've won, I've never gone into my room, never gone into my office and said, let's really analyze why I won. Let's really break down the key components as to why I'm winning. But it's when I lose, when I feel bad, I sit down and I say, hold on one second. It's because of this. This was missing. I didn't say this. I didn't do this. I didn't have this system in place. I didn't have this software in place. And then you take responsibility. It's no one else's fault. You take responsibility. When you take responsibility, guess what? You look for a solution as opposed to, I won. You don't know why you won. It could have been fluke. It could have been luck. It could have been, if you're on a football pitch, it could have been the other team was having a bad day. How do we replicate it? Talking about what we were talking about. Year one, the 5-year plan for success. Year one, make mistakes. Fail. Because in year one of any business, you actually don't know what that business is. If you watch the movie by the Facebook movie, I think it was called The Facebook Effect, where they were just showing Mark Zuckerberg's journey. At one point, when they created Facebook, the business was doing okay. And then Edward, the guy who invested in Facebook as well, came to Mark Zuckerberg and he said, it's time that we monetize this business. And Mark Zuckerberg said to him, no. He said, no, come on. Everyone's talking about Facebook right now. Let's make money from it. And Mark Zuckerberg said, no, we don't know what it is yet. I've always stuck with that. First year of business, you have no idea what it is. This is why I'm not a big fan of business plans. Throw your business plan in the bin. Focus on generating an income as early as possible. If you want to be successful, get on the ground, sell, make people buy your product to validate or to justify the business to yourself. Because whatever you put in your business plan, trust me, it changes by month 2. It changes by month 3. You're going to spend 6 hours, 10 hours creating this business plan that's literally going to change tomorrow. Hey, I want to start a business. Okay, how do you intend to get your customers? Well, I'm going to do this. But then the next day you get approached by something else and that works. But the problem is people don't want to actually sit down and do the work. So they play around with, let me create a fancy little logo. like that's going to bring you more business. Let me spend time building this website, like that's going to bring you more business. No, what's going to bring you more business is doing business. So again, going back to what I'm talking about, you want to start a business, you want to be successful. Year one, play around with it. Focus on selling as many products, services, and getting customers, because those are the validations. Year two, you're now practicing and doubling down on everything that you learned in year one. Because by year one, you figured out a path. Now, year two, you're going down that path. Year three, you're now scaling. You're focused on scaling. Year four and year five, you're doubling down. And now you're focused on growing that business. Because you've wiped out all the mistakes. You've made the mistakes. You've learned. You've reassessed it. You've iterated. You've taken out the bad. You now know where your customers are. Year four, year five, now you start focusing on how to bring the customers into you. Year 1, 2, and 3, you go out and get the customers. Whatever you've got to do, go and find the customers. Then we talk about branding and logo. Let them start coming to you, because now it's got legs. Now it's a business. But so many people are so fascinated with, I want to be an entrepreneur. It's the buzzword right now. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's amazing. But the truth is, being an entrepreneur is more than just setting up a website. Being an entrepreneur is creating something that is of value to, and being an entrepreneur is creating something of value to a large group of people. It's not creating some sort of value to yourself. It's not ego driven. It's, I'm starting this business with two intentions, either to make a lot of money or to create so much value that I make money also. That's what being a business person is. Everyone's fascinated with being able to change their Instagram bio to entrepreneur. What sales have you made, bro? And don't get carried away with people. Yeah, you're the businessman, yeah? Well, I see you. Don't get carried away with any of that. It's results. Being an entrepreneur is results. Having a bio, people gassing you up, people pumping you up, people motivating you, that's not being an entrepreneur. That just means you've changed your LinkedIn profile to say an entrepreneur.
It's not going to put food on the table.
It's not going to put food on your table. I think every single person should have a business. I think every single person, regardless of whether you've got an amazing job, unless you've been living under a rock for the last few years, it's been very turbulent. And we've seen businesses, 100-year-old businesses, 1,000-year-old businesses falter, disappear. What we were taught many years ago, this is why I have a fundamental issue with the education system. What we were taught many years ago is put your head down, do well in school, get yourself into a job, and you'll be okay. But they were correct many years ago. Things have changed now. There isn't as much stability. There isn't that much stability in having a 9 to 5. Again, I don't disparage 9 to 5. I encourage people to stay in their 9 to 5s. But I also say, if you've got 4 legs on a table, one of them gets knocked off, you've got 3 legs. If 2 of them gets knocked off, you've still got 2. 2 of them pay your bills, look after your family. If you've only got 1 leg, which is one stream of income, and the wind comes and blows, and it blows ferociously, you're done. How do you get back up? We spoke about this earlier on. Income is the foundation for success. Many people don't know this. Everyone thinks having amassed a lot of money is the foundation for success. Income is the foundation for success, because income deals with stress. Income deals with peace of mind. Income allows you, when you have peace of mind, to be creative. Income allows your household to be peaceful. Income gives you the breathing space to think about the big project and the scaling. This is why I say, if you're starting a business, focus on selling as many products and services. Justify the business to yourself. Believe in the business. And the only way to believe in your business is once you get customers paying you. Then you have a business. There are 7.7 billion people in the world. There is no way that if you don't spend 5 years on any business, whether you want to sell hair, whether you want to be a coach, whether you want to sell notepads, there is no way that you don't spend 5 years doing one thing consistently over a long period of time that you will not be successful.
Wow. So powerful, man. But you touched on something there, actually, which I want to dive into a little bit, because there are a few things that, I've kind of heard, when people talk about the education system and, how kids actually just, you line up in these chairs, you sit down, you're facing the class, and actually, at the foundations, at the inception, that was designed that way because they were actually breeding people to go and work in factories, to work in the assembly line. So that's why schools were kind of structured in that way. But we're talking 100+ years forward, and we're still doing the same thing. No one's deciding this is a bit archaic now. Or maybe, those in the powers to be, maybe they actually prefer that because there still needs to be a certain element of, control on, people, the factory line. The factory line might not be literally a factory, but we need people doing these type of jobs. We need people to become doctors. We need people to become this and that.
Still a factory line.
We've got to keep that sort of system in the same way. But the point I was going to make on that is, you can come out of uni and it's 30,000, 40,000 pounds of debt, right? That oftentimes people are paying for the rest of their lives, literally.
Yeah.
Or you can borrow money, 30, 40 grand to start a business. And people think you're crazy.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
borrowing money to start a
absolutely.
business? This is insane. But, but hang on.
You borrow the money.
I'm borrowing the money to actually start something tangible,
Yeah.
physical, that could start generating me money next week.
Yep.
But this is a promise that we all know now. People are paying this money and yet coming out and getting minimum wage jobs. What's your view on universities?
Oh, okay. So I think you said a lot. So it'll probably take me a second to break down each part. This is a topic that I'm well versed in, but also a topic that I talk about a lot. So let's talk about the assembly line sort of system. It's understandable. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, it made sense. You're pretty much guaranteed a job in the factory, on a railway. You're okay. Follow the path. Again, level of brain control, level of societal control. I understand that. But a couple of things. I'm a big fan of university for life experience. That's it. Don't go to university to go and study business studies. Don't go to university to go and study accounting. Just tell your parents you want to go to university to meet a lot of girls and a lot of boys and you want to have some fun. Outside of that, go and get real life experience. Because when you come out of the workplace, the reason why I'm not the biggest fan of people going to university is because real life experience is what matters. There are people that will spend 4 years at university and there is someone that's already got real life 4 years experience. And when you come out of uni, when you come out of university, you've still got to spend time to build up that experience. So I'm already 4 years ahead of you, but you're now 40k, 50k in debt. Does that make sense? I think the whole education system needs to be revamped. It needs to be thrown in the bin and then rewritten. But if we want to talk about why I don't believe that university is the best for most people, it was never designed to favor you. It was never designed to change your life. It was designed for the government to benefit. If we look at the data, this is something I've studied. Let's look at the data as to why they're never going to teach financial education in school. Let's look at the reason why they want people to follow this line and then fall into the workforce. UK government generate, I think it's about, I don't want to make up the figure. They generate billions per year in, do you know what? I know it. I think they generate 700 billion per year in taxes. So income tax related, personal tax related, 734 billion every single year. What do you think happens? Do you think the government's going to encourage us not to feed and put more money into society? You think the government's going to teach us how to be more independent so we pay less taxes? Absolutely not. Second thing that I figured out, UK debt-related companies, they generate around 2 billion per year. They pay around 200 million in taxes to the UK government every single year. That's debt-related companies.
What does that mean, debt-related companies?
So payday loan companies, people giving out debt. Does that make sense? Borrowing money. So
Loans.
Shark loans, short-term loans, those sorts of things. So if the government is generating, let's just say 200 million every single year. So let me break it down. So 2 billion is generated, let's say turnover. Let's go with the assumption that these companies pay their 19% corporation tax. Let's just go with that. Again, don't quote me on this, but it's a philosophy. They're paying 200 million in taxes to the government. On what world do you assume the government is going to say, well, let me teach people how to be more financially educated. Let me teach people not to get into debt. Let me teach people how to do better financially. You doing better financially takes more money out of the government's pocket. I can give you categorical evidence as to why the government doesn't want you to do better financially. Let me give you an example. There's a man called Nadeem Zahawi. He was at one point, again, don't quote me on this because this is old information. At one point, he was, I think, the Minister of Education, which means he and his team, so not him specifically, him and his team were responsible or part responsible for the national curriculum. aka what they teach kids at school. Nadeem Zahawi is worth about 100 million. As a politician, him and his wife have close to £100 million property portfolio. So it's easy to infer that he understands money and finance. He knows it. This man is responsible for teaching people how to do what he's done, yet they don't teach it. See, it's easy to assume that the government don't want to teach financial education or empower young people financially because they don't know how. It's easy to believe that. But now we've got someone who directly is in charge of creating the curriculum. He's successful by every stretch of imagination. Owns supermarkets, owns properties, owns petrol garages. £100 million. Not 1 million, not 2 million, 100 million. Yet they don't teach people how to do better financially. Are you telling me that that isn't a conspiracy by itself? Are you telling me that that isn't an agenda by itself? Let's look at Rishi Sunak, our Prime Minister. His family, so his wife and her family and him are worth billions. Billions. I think he and his wife are worth 200, 300, could be 500 million. That's somebody that understands money. Yet, why is his focus on teaching people more math as opposed to financial education? Of course, it's arguable. Math is a good thing. It helps you, it improves numeracy, it gives people a little bit of a level of confidence. But if we actually did a poll, which the government needs to do, and not stop making up these systems that they think are going to benefit, talk to the general public.
Do they think it's going to benefit them?
I mean, if you read what Richie said, he said, it's going to make us more competitive across the board. There are other countries that are teaching math to a higher degree and they're competitive. And by teaching people better math, we're going to be more competitive and we're going to get more skill sets. I agree. I agree with that. Because numeracy levels in the UK is atrocious.
Yeah, I agree with that. Personally, I don't feel, which most countries across the world teach maths up until the age of 16.
Yeah.
What you choose to do after that is completely up to you. So why don't we focus first on the quality, like you're discussing, of we're teaching? Like, as opposed to saying, now we need you all to learn maths till 18. I don't care about maths.
But so one of the things that he said specifically in his pitch, and this is the reason why I went at him, and this is the reason why I disagree with most of what he's saying. Number one, let me say it categorically. I agree we need to do better with math. I agree. So no one can argue with that. But he then said, I want people to do better with math because they're going to feel much more comfortable with their finances. They're going to feel much more comfortable with getting mortgages. They're going to feel much more comfortable with saving. That's financial literacy. That's financial education. If that's the premise so that they can do better and make better financial decisions, how about we actually teach financial education?
Yeah.
Math does not equal better financial education. The average person in the UK has a math GCSE.
Exactly.
Yet debt levels are incredibly high. Yet misusage of credit card is incredibly high. Yet money management is incredibly high. It's not more math. It's specific education. But I keep saying this. The government cannot teach specific financial education because it doesn't benefit the country.
Yeah. Which I completely agree with. I don't want to get political, but I truly, truly do not understand what even the point of that whole, is that what we've got to worry about right now?
Again, they're playing politics. You speak to the average adult who also knows that their numeracy level as an adult is atrocious, but they also know that their kids are not as sharp as they could have been. So it appeals to an older group of people. It would appeal to someone like my mum. My mum would say, it's true. It's true. Oh yeah, everybody go back to school. It makes sense. Before I came into this country, I knew my times table up until 20s. So you could ask me 17 times 7 and I would know it like this. That was Nigerian education. When I came into this country, even today, I don't know my times table to 10. Why? Because I've got an iPhone and I've got a calculator. But the point is, so I get what he's saying. Other countries, by comparison, they do better maybe in math and numeracy. But let's ask the real question. What is the purpose of doing well in maths? Is it to get us better jobs? If the purpose of getting us better jobs is to get us better salaries, it's to improve quality of life. Let's flip it on the head. Maths does not improve the general public's quality of life. It doesn't. It improves perception of quality of life. Someone asked Rishi just the other day, Rishi, do you have private healthcare? And Rishi said, well, I can't really answer that question. And then it led on to saying, what about people who are working in, let's say, the healthcare space, who are earning around £18,000 per year? What's your message to them? And he pretty much said, let's let them feel as if things are better for them. So it's all smoke and mirrors. You want people to feel as if they are appreciated and valued. That's pretty much what he said. He said, let's clap for them. That's what we did during lockdown. Let's clap for the nurses. Yeah. Let's make them feel amazing. Let's send them flowers. But they're asking for a pay rise. But you want them to feel valued. In this society, feeling value is putting more money in your pocket so you can pay your bills.
100%.
It's dealing with the energy crisis. Because if we're talking about the math doesn't help people today to deal with the energy crisis. Deal with the energy crisis, Rishi. Help people reduce the level of risk. Help people reduce the level of stress. Sort out the energy crisis. Sort out what we're going through today, as opposed to placating us and saying, in 5 years' time, we're going to be better with maths. Because it's not maths that got us into this situation. It's also not maths that's caused people to have bad money management. I say that confidently. It's not knowing my 12 times table that will stop me from having to borrow money from a loan shark or from a short-term payday loan. It's not maths.
I don't see the literacy. I know what 1 + 1 is. I'll still borrow that 10 grand at some stupid percentage.
That's the point, because I need that money today. So if you want people to do better financially, you've got to be intentional. And this is what I talk about all the time. Intentionality is everything. You want people to change their lives. Change this. Change the mindset. Everything starts with a mindset. It starts with the quality of information. Lastly, why I don't believe that the government will ever teach financial education, and why, in fact, let me say this. I do not believe the government should teach financial education. I don't believe the government should be responsible for teaching financial literacy. As much as I say, and I'm going at Rishi because I'm calling out hypocrisy. If you want to teach financial literacy, teach it. Don't hide it under anything else. However, I don't believe that they should. I think financial literacy is the parent's responsibility. I think it happens at home. If you are a religious person, you teach your child the ethics and you teach your child the religion at home. You don't rely on the teacher to teach your children about matters of society. Money is a matter of society. You, as the adult, need to be responsible, learn about financial education, and teach your child about financial education, as opposed to putting it on a third party. Let's go back to why it's important that it's not taught by. Let's go back to why it's important that money and finance is not taught by a third party. The person that's going to teach it has to be in a position where they're okay financially.
I'm not going to respect you, bro.
I'm not going to listen to you. So you're now going to teach teachers how to teach financial education when the average teacher is saying, I need a pay rise. The average teacher is saying, I can't afford to buy my home. The quality of the education has to come from someone who's been there, done it, lives it. The average person can't teach somebody that money is a good thing if they're struggling financially. So whoever teaches you is going to be responsible for the quality of data that you put into your brain or your child's brain. If the average teacher is on, I'm going to make this up, guys. If the average teacher is, let's say, on 30k salary, they might be on less. If the average teacher is on 30k salary and they're living in London, cost of living in London is swallowing up all their money. Do you think their mindset is going to be on teaching children how to buy multiple properties and be investors? So what's going to happen is if you say, hey, teachers, teach my children about finance, it's going to backfire.
They're going to quit.
They're going to quit. In fact, they're going to quit.
Hang on, what am I doing there?
I don't even believe what I'm teaching you. I don't even understand what I'm teaching you. I'm still learning this myself. I made a post about this recently on Instagram, and someone said I did GCSE maths, I did A-level maths, I did further maths. I went to uni and did maths and statistics. And this is what she said, and I'm now in my 30s and I'm still trying to figure out my finances. Wow. Maths will never be the thing that makes you rich. Again, I'm not saying maths is good. In many topics, it's good.
Engineer, all that sort of stuff, yeah, of course.
But in order to survive in today's society, it's not maths. It's don't teach me algebra. Don't teach me about Pythagoras theorem. Don't teach me about pi. Teach me about credit cards. Teach me about credit utilization. Teach me about when to pay my credit card back so I don't pay interest. Teach me about good debt and bad debt. Teach me that there is such thing as good debt, because good debt is future money. You take on debt today that has the propensity or ability to pay you. Teach me about how to buy a property. Teach me about the costs associated with buying a property. Teach me how to survive in today's economy and today's society. That's empowerment. Give the right tools, give the right pieces of information. But all we're getting at the moment is a pile of rubbish.
Wow, brilliant. And this is a perfect segue actually into talking about financial literacy. I know we've kind of gone into a little bit there, which is brilliant. So that leads me perfectly onto, let's try and condense it and just say, okay, cool. Because obviously financial literacy can be quite broad. We could probably just speak on that in itself for the whole hour, right? If you were looking to give a piece of information to someone today who's perhaps struggling with finances, or someone who's about to come into the world of finances, what would be your advice?
Cool. I have a very simple system in my mind, and this is what I teach people. Number one, if you want to play a game, you've got to be part of that game. So if you want to be a footballer, you've got to understand the game of football. I don't follow football. Up until today, I still don't know the offside rules. I'm never going to be good at football. Same thing. I've done the research on this. I'll try and quote it because I might get it wrong. The research that I did was we spend 40%. In fact, the research that I did was we spend 46% of our week pursuing money, which means we wake up at 5 a.m. We leave the house at 7. We get to work at 9. We work a 4-day shift. We go home at 7. We eat, we sleep, and the cycle continues. That's 46% of our week pursuing money. Yet, less than 10% of adults have spent more than 1 hour in the last 10 years learning about money. You see how crazy that is?
Mad.
How do you play a game in which you don't understand? How do you conquer a game you don't understand? How do you manipulate a game you don't understand? Let alone how do you win in a game you don't understand? So if we're talking about anyone that wants to do better financially, the first thing you've got to do is understand money. Go and study money. Ask better questions about money. Think about money as this thing. Money is energy. Money doesn't disappear. It doesn't dissipate. It can't be destroyed. It goes from one person's pocket to the other person's pocket. Figure out the root. Learn what money is. Learn how to treat money. Learn how to acquire money. I believe this in all my soul. The hardest thing in life is to turn money into more money. How do you turn £1 into £10? And this is what everyone's trying to figure out. That's the game of being an entrepreneur. Some of us make it, some of us don't make it, but that's the game right there. The average person needs to understand money. And if we're going to understand money, the beginning of understanding money is just understanding basic inflation. Inflation just by itself is the reason why most people will never be wealthy. Because inflation means just the basis of having money means you're losing money. In fact, in some cases, it's easier not to have any money. Because if I've got money, inflation at 10% right now means I'm leaking money. I get money right here. This is the hardest thing. You manage to get money. Remember, the hardest thing in life is to turn money into more money. You manage to turn money into more money. You put it into your palm and it leaks out through here. So you're losing money. So the first thing is you understand inflation. You learn what inflation is. By learning what inflation is, you develop a system and how to curb inflation, which means your palms are now closed. That's the lesson. So the money can't leak out. Do you follow what I'm trying to say?
Powerful.
So number one, understand money. Under learning about money, you understand inflation. Because it means everything you do now is to make sure you're not bleeding money. You're not leaking money. You're plugging the hole. You've got a whole ship. You've managed to get that ship into the sea. It's going well, but there's a hole. So that ship is never going to get to the end destination because there's a hole. That's where understanding money comes from. As I said, I could speak about this for hours, but I'll try and condense it down. So that's number one, understand money, understanding money, inflation. Number two comes down to this, and I'm not the biggest fan of this, but I believe every single person that's on their new money journey, they need to learn how to save. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of saving, but I'll explain it very quickly. You want to save to have enough money to deal with life's emergencies. You are always going to get an emergency. That's just how life happens. There's always a fire to put out. There's always a situation. There's always one bill that just magically comes up. There's a car parking fine that's just randomly come. Does that make sense? So you save enough money to deal with life's eventualities, which means you put aside 3 or 6 months. And in some cases, depending on your personality type, you put away 12 months of expenses. Every other penny will take it to number 3. That means you start to invest every other penny. Because remember what we spoke about at number 1, understanding money. And by understanding money, you understand inflation. If your money is just sitting there, you're losing money. So you save your emergency fund, then we go to invest money. So you take whatever's left and you invest it. That helps to curb the leak. that helps to block the leak from happening, because at least your money is attempting to make you money by investing. Your money doesn't make you any money by saving. Don't save money. Save your emergency fund, and every single penny. If we look at my bank account now, I probably have about £3.65 in my bank account, and I have money. But every penny is fighting a battle to make me more money. Money has to be in perpetual movement, and money has to be in association with other money. This is how money makes money. When you start to think about money as a thing, you start to understand it better. Money hangs around with other money. That's why you can't be in saving. In saving, your money is in isolation. In investing, your money is in collaboration. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that, TJ. That was good. But you follow my point. In collaboration is where the money is made. Money is having a conversation with money. Money saying, hey, yo, one pound to £5. Hey, £5, what are you doing? Where are you currently invested? Oh, do you know what? I'm in the stock market. Okay, £1. Do you want to jump in? It makes £6. That's how money works. Money has to be in perpetual movement to make more money. Money has to be rolling down the hill, and it's gathering other pieces of money, and then it makes someone money at the end of it. Money's coming from here and it's going here. Money's never lost. It comes from your pocket and goes into someone else's pocket. And the difference here is it's the person that understands money that gets the money. People say, how come the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer? And they want to believe that the rich are getting richer because they're stealing from the poor. No. The rich are getting richer. Why? Because they're in collaboration. The rich are getting richer because they're having money conversations. The rich are getting richer because they understand money better than everyone else. Why is Ronaldo? Why is Messi? Why are they the best footballers in this planet? They understand football better than anyone else. Simple. They're practiced. Again, going back to what I explained to you, 46% of our week pursuing money, yet less than 10% of people even understand what money is. They haven't sat down to study why they're in pursuit, how money works. You catch Messi, you catch Ronaldo, 3, 4 a.m., kicking footballs. David Beckham, wake up early in the morning, practicing the free kicks. Why was he the best at taking free kicks? Because they're practiced. Does that make sense? But if you don't practice the game of money, how do you get better? Then you say the rich are getting richer. No, the rich are studying money. Guess what rich people also do? They talk to each other about money. Guess what poor people do? They hide. And I get it. There's a level of shame. I understand. There's a level of feeling inadequate, so you don't talk to people about money. But the rich are getting richer because when they meet up, yo, where are you currently invested? How's that return? What's working for you? How can I get into the circle? Who's your financial advisor? How much money did you make last month? How much money did you make last year? How did you do it? But poor people don't talk about money. So how do you grow? How do you take yourself to the next level? So that's investing. And when you're investing, if depending on your personality type, you can decide to invest in short-term, medium-term, and long-term opportunities. And the reason why you want to do it across short-term, medium, and long-term is because what if your emergency fund runs out? So it means you can still dip into the short-term, which means it can usually be liquidated in 3 to 5 days, maybe 7 days. But your emergency fund is to deal with anything that hits you today up to 7 days. If you need extra money, you go into your investment and you've got to liquidate it if you need to liquidate it. Does that make sense? Number 5, this is where you start to make real money. You learn the power of leveraging. This is how every rich person became rich. This is how property investors make money. We use somebody else's money, somebody else's time, or somebody else's experience to make us much more money. Oh, TJ, how do you invest in so many properties every single year? Because I work with investors. People have money. People are looking to invest their money. So guess what they do? Rather than the money sitting there leaking and bleeding money, they give me the money, I invest, I give them a return. But it means I can have 10 projects going on right now because I've used other people's funds. Leverage. And it's only when you learn to leverage that you can create wealth. Because number 6 is you get to create passive income. If you're using other people's money and you're generating 10 incomes rather than 1, which means you used your own money, you're using other people's money, you now create passive income. And passive income now means you can step back and then replicate yourself. Does that make sense? You have your money working for you. Money's working. Money's doing the 9 to 5 shifts, and you're able to replicate yourself and go and create another income or another system that helps you, again, to plug this hole. That's the principle of money. But again, I'm far read in this topic. I understand money. I study money. I do okay financially because I understand money. The average person hasn't spent 1 hour 1 hour. And I know when people watch this, they're going to catch themselves and they're going to be like, oh, damn, you're right. The average person hasn't spent 1 hour. Let's go deeper into the research that I did. We asked people, I think from the age of 17 or 18, up until about 60. What we found that the group of people that had actually studied money over 1 hour, over a period of time, guess what age they were?
55.
You would assume that. It was the younger kids. It was 18, 19, 20, up until 21 years old. Do you know why?
They're growing up around more content, more information.
Spot on. So it wasn't necessarily because they wanted to learn about money. They were forced to learn about money. Why is that? Because visibility. They could see other young people making money. They were more inspired. Then we had the cryptocurrency situation. So it meant every single young person was forced to go on Google at the least to say, what is cryptocurrency? How can I make money from NFTs?
How do I become a millionaire?
If we see all these Google searches, it's based on young, exuberant, excitable people who need a better life. What I found most fascinating was hardly anyone in their 50s and 60s, even though you've lived for longer, so you would assume they would have spent time, haven't studied or even researched or learned about money. Why? Because as you get older, life shows you and you say, do you know what? This is life for me. This is it. You know, nothing's going to change for me. But this is the problem.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
But that's what they believe. Until they come across someone like me or you that says, hey, you're 60, but you can do better financially. Here is the blueprint. Everything is the blueprint. And guess what? The blueprint isn't how do you make money? It was always this. It's to change the way you think, change the way you talk to yourself. Like these young kids, if they see something funny on Instagram, they might say stuff like, I'm dead. Does that mean? I think that's one of their little, I'm dead or I'm dying. Yeah. And I've gone to the place so far that you will never hear me say anything negative about myself. I know that's even a joke, but you'll never hear me say anything negative about myself because I'm such a big believer in the data I put inside myself because that data becomes who I am and that data determines the action I take, which determines the results I take. Does that make sense?
100%, 100%. Yeah. Wow, that was so powerful. And I think anyone just listening to that, if they can just digest that segment itself, I think that can make a massive difference.
I hope so.
100%. 100%. Okay, cool. I'm going to be that guy now. I'm going to be that guy that we spoke about at the start.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, okay, cool. I'm starting out right now. I'm looking at TJ. I go, yo, TJ made his money from property. Like, he's smashing the game now. I'm starting out. Don't really know what to do.
Okay.
You know, I'm in a position where I'm two people. One.
That's not confusing at all.
Yeah. So I'm one person who I'm sick of my job, or maybe I'm not sick, but I want more.
Yeah.
You know, I want to have the freedom to do what I want when I want with whoever I want. I want that freedom. And then I'm someone else once again who I'm just kind of starting out and I don't actually know, what to do. I'm thinking about property.
Okay.
In those two situations, what would you advise? What kind of strategy would you say, okay, you know what, if I was in this situation, this is what I would do?
Okay. So something I wanted to address just very quickly, you touched on it just slightly. Not directly answering your question, I'll answer that in a second, but it's something I didn't want to forget. A lot of people say, I don't care about money. And that pees me off a little bit because there is no one on this earth that doesn't care about money. It's an excuse based on what you believe about money. And what you believe about money is circumstantial. It's based on where you are financially. Does that make sense? You get people that say, well, money isn't everything. Well, let's be totally frank with you. Money is actually everything. Money plays an important part in your relationship with your family, your quality of life, your relationship with your friends, the quality of the people you keep around you. But the problem is you say money isn't everything because you don't see how to break out of where you currently are to get you to the next level. So you create this dialogue in your mind that money isn't so important. Now, if money isn't so important, how about you make some money so you can give it all away, so you can have greater impact? It's because you don't know how to make money, so you trick yourself to believe that money isn't everything. Let me be the first person to say this now. Money does make you happy. People twist it in so many different ways. Oh, no, money doesn't make you happy. No, money makes you happy because money buys you experiences. Money, in many cases, reduces day-to-day stress. Money reduces cortisol. Money and experiences increase serotonin. Money makes you happy because you're in a better space of mind, even just that by itself. So the best thing that you can do, learn about money, make money, change your life. And even if you don't change your life, change other people's lives, which puts you in a better place and a better space of mind. So let me go back to...
Wow. I want to clap for you, but yeah.
No, because you're not sure which path to follow. Well, I think the easiest way is to look at it from this point of view. Ask yourself a couple of questions. I'm big on asking questions because you don't know what you don't know, and you only know what you do know. So find out from yourself, number one, how much time do I have available? Because some people have got part-time jobs, full-time jobs, they're running a business. So how much time do I have available? Number two, how much money do I have available? Not future money. A lot of people live on future money. Oh, I'll raise funds from this investor. How much do you have in your pocket and how much time do you have available? Then go and figure out what all the strategies are and find out which one slots into the specific strategy that you're looking for, and which one slots into the time frame and the money that you have available. So for example, if you said, well, I run a full-time job at the moment, I don't have a lot of time. Okay, well, you're not going to go for service accommodation. You might look for something a little bit more passive like HMO. But if you say, okay, I've got this amount of money available and I have a lot of time, then we might look at a development business. You might want to start doing flips. But everything comes down to, who are you? What's your appetite for risk? What's your end goal? Many people don't ask themselves that question. The first thing is, do you want capital or do you want income? So do you want the value of your assets to go up in the future? So do you want future money or do you want today's money? Two different things. And that's very important because that will determine what strategy you pursue. If you're already fine income-wise, then you can focus on capital appreciation, which means in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you're fine. But if you don't have income, then we've got to focus on income generating projects. I think every single person should focus on income. Until you've got a system that pays you out consistently every single month, focus on income. Income alleviates stress. I can't shout this enough. Income allows you to enjoy your day to day. Income allows you to be creative. Income allows you to take risk. You can't take risk. As we mentioned earlier on, you can't take risk if you don't know how you're going to pay your bills tomorrow. You can't take risk if you've got a family, you've got kids at home, and your partner's looking at you to say, babes, I believe in you. But at the moment, I don't know how we're going to feed our daughter or feed our son. Focus on income first. Get yourself to a place where your income is in abundance, but it covers all your costs and it makes yourself and your family at least comfortable. Then we start talking about the bigger projects. Bigger projects take 12 months, 18 months to come into fruition. And that's the mistake so many people make. Do I believe people should leave their job? Absolutely not. I think your 9 to 5, such as, remember I mentioned about going to university. There are lessons you learn at university. For a few people, you learn how to speak to women. For a few people, you develop your confidence on how to speak to men. These are soft skills that you pick up. Group presentation broadens your horizons. It gives you the confidence to have conversations. It prepares you for the real world. It prepares you for rejection. It teaches you how to build friendship groups. It teaches you how to determine what sort of people you want to hang around with, but it also shows you other people's lifestyle. Does that make sense? And that's exactly the same thing. You've got to find out what it is you want specifically before you can do anything. Wow,
so powerful. And I think I did some content the other day on Instagram and I was pretty much kind of talking about something similar to that, but I was more coming from the side of passive income. And people just put out all this passive income. I'm like, well, listen, like, if you are in a position where you're trying to replace your income, you better get ready for active income.
Bro.
Like, you're starting from zero, bro. Like, where are you getting this passive? Like,
so let me talk on passive income. I hate the word passive income. I hate it. And that's why it was at the bottom of my 6 steps, because it's genuine passive income that's been created through leverage. So it's through that step. Passive income's right at the bottom. Everyone's looking for passive income today. So let's be frank. Passive income isn't a real thing. I'll explain why. And I'll say this confidently. Stop looking for passive income. It's a scam. Only a handful of people on this earth will ever create passive income. And I can name you the people that will genuinely create passive income. Business owners that have multiple employees that can replicate themselves. That's one. And that means that's time to get to that place. Number 2, artists, musicians, book writers, authors, passive income. I run a number of businesses and they are active. I've got to be there to make decisions. As much as I invest in property and I've got a great relationship with my builder and I've got a great build team and I've got my interior designers, yes, I could be on holiday, but I still have to make decisions. I got a call yesterday. What color are we painting the walls? And I'm like, I don't know. And now I've got to go through a catalog of this and this and this. Now I've got to determine what price we're selling for, what price we're renting. How do I structure this? Manage the team, manage the staff, manage the builders. It is work. Passive income comes from doing work aggressively, ferociously, with intentionality, and then causing it to be passive. I get passive income from books that I've written. I don't do anything anymore, but I get that because Amazon have created that system. Artists, music artists, they get passive income because they've put in the word aggressively, they've created that body of work, and it's now being distributed passively, and they get royalties coming in. Royalties is the true definition of passive. Most people get that wrong because they are listening to these trainers that chat rubbish about passive income. Number one, you're too damn young to be looking for passive income. You're in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s. Hey, put your head down, do the work, do the damn work. Then you might see a result. But if you want to outsource, you want to systemize, you want to step out of your business, to do what? Dear 20-year-old, what are you going to be doing? You ain't even got money to buy a ticket to go and do your work in Jamaica, but you want passive income. During your most formative years where you're learning about yourself, you're learning about self-esteem, you're learning about diligence, you want passive income. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I think it's really frustrating because what happens is a lot of these gurus and people trying to sell courses and mentorship and things like that, they just use this passive income buzzword because it's like, bro, who doesn't want passive income?
Thank you very much.
If I can step out tomorrow and just start making thousands of pounds without
doing anything,
it sounds good.
But the truth is this, we've got to start questioning these coaches and these mentors. And we need to start calling BS on a number of things that's said online, specifically with the intention of getting people to buy their courses and their products. Number one, any coach, any consultant, any mentor that's telling you that you should quit your job at your early stage, let me be the first person to say this, they are a scammer. And I use that word not willingly, but because it's bad information.
Yes.
Mainly
and they know better.
They know, of course they know better. It's an easy sell. I can say to somebody, hey, buy my training course and you don't have to work for the rest of your life. Most people will buy it. But the reality is this, 99% of people, it will not work for. Work is everything. Number one, and a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't work hard, smart work. Well, no, you work hard first. It's the hard work that allows you to then create the systems to cause it to be smart work. Do the damn work. People are running away from doing work. This generation is bloody lazy. You're lazy. Do the work, you'll get the results. Then eventually you can step out of your business, but it's not going to happen unless you do the work. So going back to these coaches that are selling these dreams, they are liars. They want your money and they will take your money and you'll still be left with no passive income and you would have to take on a second job and a third job to catch up. Number two, don't quit your job if you're thinking about getting into property. Your job, again, baseline. It's the baseline. It's your foundation. It alleviates stress. I can't emphasize that enough. It gives you the foundation. If you want to become a property investor, having a job is probably the best thing that can happen. You pass referencing better. You pass referencing quicker. People are asking, do you have experience? Yes, I can pay the bills. I've got work experience here. I've got job experience here. I've got a salary. People forget that in order to actually become a successful investor, in many cases, we're talking about the traditional style of investing, banks want to see that you're stable.
100%.
They want to see that you can pay the bills on time.
They prefer that more than random bits of big money coming in. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you're making 50K per month. Do you know how many people that I know are making 50K a month, but they can't buy a property? Banks want stability. Banks will give you money to buy a property if they can see, even if you're making 25,000, 30,000 per year. So let's stop buying into these ideas and these dreams because people are selling it to us and they're selling you a dream because it's filling their pockets. Let's go with the assumption that everything in life is difficult. I know as a total optimist, I'm an eternal optimist, but as an optimist, it hurts me to say this, but it's to protect people. Go with the mindset that everything in life is also very difficult and you're going to have to do the work and you're going to have to do the work over a prolonged period of time before you see any results. Anyone that's telling you that you can be financially successful in 7 days, in 10 days, in fact, in 12 months is lying. And if you buy into that at some point, you're going to have to pay for it.
Wow. Powerful, man, bro. Like, honestly, this has been incredible. I knew I had to get you back in here because we didn't really get a chance to go into all of this last time. It was really discussing your journey, which, you know, in all honesty, that was a very, very powerful episode.
Thank you so much,
for anyone who hasn't seen that, make sure you go and check that out. It was incredible. But I just knew there were some things that, you know, especially someone like yourself who's not sort of shy to really, really speak their mind. I feel there's a lot of value that people could get. So you know, super, super grateful for coming back. Is there any final words you want to leave everyone with?
Yeah, just do the work, man. Put your head down, do the work. Don't believe all the hype. Life is a lot more simpler than we make it out to be. 3 to 5 years in one thing, you'll be successful.
Amazing, man. Mr. TJ Atkinson.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Good man.